A very warm welcome to the Advance Global Australian Awards dinner. Jeremy acknowledged some guests by name, and I won't repeat all of them, but I do want to thank Julie Bishop, the Foreign Minister, for the support that Advance has from the Australian Government. It's really simple. We would not exist without the support of the Government, and we are very grateful for that. I would like to acknowledge somebody who's not in the room. Some of you will be aware that Advance was come to be right in the aftermath of 9/11, and it was the Australian expatriate community in New York that come together literally in the hours and days afterwards. And the Chief of Staff to then Prime Minister John Howard was Arthur Sinodinos. Again, you may be aware that both Arthur and Prime Minister Howard were in the US at the time of 9/11, and Arthur was quite literally a supporter of Advance from the very start and has remained a crucial supporter to this day. And Arthur was one of the first people to RSVP for tonight. We're aware why he can't be here, but I did want to say publicly, we wish Arthur a speedy recovery and all the very best from the Advance family. With so many familiar faces here, it seems almost redundant to tell you what Advance does, but for those that are new, let me say quickly, our belief is that there is immense power in harnessing the million Australians that live overseas, both for the benefit of the individuals, but more significantly for the benefit of our country. Advance helps Australians overseas connect with other Australians. We take Australian startups overseas. We help talent move home, which is a crucial thing for the betterment of our country. We help mentor young Australians, and you'll see some of that tonight. And then really what we're about tonight is recognising the achievements of Australians abroad via this awards dinner. And our point of difference is that we do not believe that our expats are a brain drain. When our best and brightest leave our shores, we celebrate that because we believe that represents a community of ambassadors for our country abroad. And we also know that the vast majority of them return home for the wonderful lifestyle that we have, and they come back better people, more skilled, and with a broader perspective. In previous years, we've unearthed some extraordinary people that many hadn't heard of before. And for those of you that were here last year, you may remember the story of our Global Alumni Award winner, Nima Candy. Nima left her home country of Liberia for the first time ever to study at the University of Wollongong to study a Masters of Public Health. And getting through her study, she returned to Liberia and she was given a big job in the country's health system. And while still unpacking, the Ebola epidemic hit Liberia, and they looked at Nima and not quite seriously said, "You're the only one with a Masters in Public Health. You're in charge of this crisis." And Nima said, "Well, where's the country's disaster management plan?" There was none. She asked, "Where was the country's infectious disease plan?" None. There were no plans, but a health crisis of epidemic proportions. And Nima stood at the lectern. We were reversed around this year, but Nina stood at this lectern and said she was both confused and overwhelmed. And she talked about emailing her professor, her university professor back at the Uni of Newcastle. And she told the story of a professor saying, "Get some sleep. There's an 11-hour time difference, which we will use to our advantage." And before she knew it, there was an Ebola management plan for Liberia, listing the things that she needed to do in the first hour of day one. Nima led a team of almost 3,000 people at immense personal cost. She lost her best friend. 100 plus health workers in Liberia died as a result of Ebola. Nima herself was unable to have physical contact with her family and friends for many months for fear that she had contracted Ebola. And at the end of that, in May 2015, due to what she did, Liberia was declared Ebola-free. And the extraordinary woman that stood here last year said to us that she was proud to call Australia her second home. And we were proud to have her in our country. There was another of last year's winners, Dr. Fiona Ward, and Lucy Turnbull presented the award to Fiona. And Fiona was born in Yorkshire in a mining village. She wanted to be an Olympic runner, ended up in medicine. After moving to Australia, she developed a spray-on skin that was a world-first medical innovation that reduced the recovery time from weeks to days for burns victims. So when we all know this, some of us will know the story of the 2002 Bali bombings and Perth being one of the closest specialist hospitals in the region, and literally Fiona got all the doctors that were available, all the hospital operating theatres that were available, brought the team together, and they worked through the clock for days doing what they could to save lives. Fiona was named Australian of the Year in 2005 and voted Australia's most trusted person for 6 successive years. And with such passion and that thick Yorkshire accent that I won't try and copy, Fiona stood here last year and gave us her wisdom. And she said, if you want to do something, be damn good at it. And there's no point getting up in the morning to be average. And then finally, Genevieve Bell, our overall winner last year. She was here last year as Dr. Bell from the USA, and is now here as Professor Bell at the Australian National University, which is a living, breathing example that our talent does come home. And Genevieve grew up in Melbourne and Canberra and remote Aboriginal communities in the Northern Territory, following her mother around, who was a renowned anthropologist. And Genevieve recalled her mum telling her, while they were living in remote central Australia, that we are morally obligated to make the world better if you can see how. Now, an accomplished anthropologist herself, Genevieve worked overseas with Intel, and as she says, an anthropologist in a tech company, understanding how we as humans better use technology. As she calls it, the social impact of building relationships with machines. And Genevieve spoke passionately about her time as an Australian expat overseas, the Australian willingness to have a go, to speak our mind, and our ability to tell stories in a way that brings others along with us. And it's great to have you here tonight, Genevieve. So tonight is about adding the next group of Australians that we call Born Global, our achievers. Every year we leave this dinner, it's the 6th time we've done it, and we think we've found all the diamonds. There can't be any more. And every year we find an extraordinary group, and I am totally confident that you will be inspired and just amazed by the group of people you hear from tonight. In closing, I would like you to indulge me for a moment. I'd like our advanced staff, past and present. I'd like our advanced board members and council members, past and present, our awards judges, past and present, and past winners. The current winners will get their time in the sun, but I'd ask you to stand up. Just stay with me. Stay standing up. Just stay with me. Just for a moment. You know, if you read the newspaper today or you listen to the news, you hear of so many issues that divide us and so many things that are tearing us apart. And we think that there are far more things that bring us together and bind us together as Australians. And the people standing, the advanced group, We think that our extraordinary expatriates abroad are a mighty unifying force that our country should be proud of. So tonight is about celebrating, it's about having fun, and on behalf of the extended Advance family that are standing here, I'd like to thank everybody sitting down because we only exist because of your support. Thank you.